again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of RV Business Capital Talk, sponsored by Eric Sell. I'm Rick Kessler. With me, Sherman Goldenberg, and joining the two of us this afternoon is Jason Lippert. Jason, of course, is the president CEO of Lippert Components, Inc., or like we just say, Lippert. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Rick, Sherm, how are you guys doing today?
Doing well, sir.
Well, good.
First of all, congratulations on what amounts to a spectacular quarterly performance last month. You guys had some ups, some downs, but for the most part, it was a very solid performance, which not too many companies can say in this particular market.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're in 22 months of really, tough sledding on the RV side. So, during these times, we all focus how to right size our business and get us healthy in whatever the new normal environment is. In this case, it was, just over 300,000 units last year, which was almost a decade long low. So the good news is we're past the 22 months and we've got our business, set up for success at this new business level, being RVs only about 40% of our business today. But it feels good. It feels like, we're at least past the really tough parts of the downturn, and we're looking forward to come out of that in the next handful of quarters, hopefully.
You mentioned new normal. This is a tongue-in-cheek question, but what is that new normal?
Look, a lot of people are asking the question. I've always had the view that the RV business has easily the potential to be a 500,000 unit business all day long, with a breadth of product we've introduced and all these new categories of buyers we've introduced the lifestyle to. The fact that 500,000 units is less than 0.1% of the total population of the U.S. and Canada, where most of the RVs are sold. It just feels like $500,000 or 500,000 units is attainable and reachable. So but I think to be conservative, probably to say what is the baseline level, it's probably 375 to 400 would be my guess. It's like if you're going to plan a normal year, and good years we're going to be better than that, and worse years we're going to be down years we're going to be a little bit worse than that. I think that's kind of how we view the the situation.
If we were seated with the door shut with your board members, and we asked what the hot spots were, what the talking points are for your company, for your people at this point in history, what are the top concerns, I guess would be the word, for you at this point?
Yeah, well, I can't let you behind the boardroom doors. You know that. It's public information, but non-public information. But no, I'm just joking. I would say that, without stating just the canned, hey, it's service and quality, the bigger piece for us is like, okay, well, how is Lippert going to impact, the service and quality piece? And I think that there's a few answers to that. I think, collaboration around the industry, and that's campgrounds, that's dealers, it's OEMs, it's suppliers. I don't think we do a great job as an industry as all coming together as a group. We get these little silos of companies and businesses working together, and together those partnerships generally yield some pretty good stuff. But I'd love to see some more collaboration. So we're out reaching to the campground groups. We're spending more time with the dealers and the dealer groups out there. I think from a service perspective, we want to make a bigger impact there. We're going to announce we're pitching in with Funtown's Navarro College education and kind of creating a program that's going to crank out technical service people for the dealerships. We're going to pitch in on that. We're going to put on the plans in the next month something to do more in service. We of course have a service operation here and a technical training operation outfit, but we want to do more there. So how can we scale that? And I think we've seen 3,000 dealer trainings this year just in the first 5 or 6 months, where we've had either dealers come in and train on all of our products at our dedicated service center to technical training. But we've also gone out to train dealers at their spaces. So we want to just scale that. We brought a lot of new quality ideas to the game. We're launching what we think will be the biggest opportunity to improve quality across the industry. It's a new independent suspension system for trailers. If you think about what frustrates dealers and retail customers the most with RVs, it's that we're selling houses on wheels, and they go down good roads and bad roads alike, and off road, and they start shaking apart. The bigger they are, the more vibration there is, and the touring axle suspension, the independent suspension system we're launching here, this model year change reduces vibration above the chassis about 50%. So
Wow.
if we can reduce the headaches of shakedown and vibration inside the unit, and that's cabinets, it's countertops, it's appliances, it's all the things that can get shaken and damaged as things go down the road. I think that's a big improvement. So behind the boardroom doors, real, succinctly, it's service and quality. I think that's in collaboration. I think that's how we can move the needle.
Jason, thanks for the announcement of the independent suspension. That's a big deal. Big deal.
It is. It's been a couple of years in the works, and it goes to that quality conversation. We want to improve quality as an industry. We have to innovate a little bit, and we have to be willing to spend a little bit more money on some of the products that are going to make quality better than what it is and what it was yesterday.
Jason, one of the other initiatives you've had over the last several years, of course, is a bigger push into the aftermarket. I'm curious, does the Camping World furniture acquisition play into that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we acquired those assets here recently in the inventory, I think there's a intense focus on Camping World. I mean, if you read all their news, they're focusing on the dealerships, they're focusing on these exclusive stores. They're really focusing, in retail to the consumer. I think, we're giving them back some resources maybe when we take this stuff on, so that they can go focus more on the consumer. Because ultimately, you talked about how we're going to move the needle in the RV business. It's going to be to, selling more RVs to people that haven't bought RVs before. And if the dealers and OEMs and, can really focus more on those groups, and move the needle, so that we're going to a wider, part of the population with RVs, and we can get to 500 or 600 because we're just focusing on a wider groups that could buy. I think that's the most important way to use the industry resources. But yeah, it's much a play. It's probably more of a play for us on the Camping World side, on the aftermarket, because our real collaboration on that acquisition was to get into their stores.
Sure.
As a vertical business, they were focusing on supplying themselves. We're focused with them now with this deal to be able to help them, do a lot of things. It's kind of condense what they're putting in their stores, so the stores are simpler and easier for a consumer that walks in to find what they need, and to not have maybe so many choices, but to give them the best choices, and ultimately to redo some of their you guys have been over our headquarters before and seen our aftermarket displays. I think we really focus a lot of time and energy around how things look in the retail store, and I think that'll help. So we're collaboration with Camping World is just as much to how can we play a part in their 200 plus stores where retail customers actually walk in and see things and buy things, as it is acquiring some furniture business.
Sure. Go ahead, Sherm.
Furniture business, a pretty key player in your business now. Then, when you combine those two, what you had already with Camping World's furniture.
Yeah, furniture is our number 2 category in the company, so it's a big one.
What's number 1?
Chassis right now, but they're pretty close. I mean, chassis, windows, furniture, those are three of our largest segments for all the different industries that we supply components to.
If we look at your employment, what was I just reading? Over 100 locations in 14,000 employees. Was that an appropriate number?
Yeah, we're based on what we consolidate in terms of our facilities and adding facilities and acquisitions. We're about 140 facilities and about 14,000 team members right now.
Worldwide.
Are those things stable through these crazy times?
Well, certainly the RP piece tends to flex, and when the business goes up, we're adding facilities and capacity and shifts, and when things when the bottom falls out, then we're consolidating factories, and we're either mothballing factories or selling factories and consolidating, more factories into fewer. But that's mostly on the RV side. Our other businesses are pretty stable, and we don't need to. But that's a cyclical part of the RV business, and that's the trick to being in this business is you got to be able to withstand and survive the downturns. And if you can do that, you've got a pretty good business.
To be fair about it, people tell me the marine side of things isn't at an all-time high either.
No, it's they're kind of hitting they're cyclical as well, and they're kind of hitting their down cycle. But they never, because the industry isn't as big as the RV in terms of units, it never has the impact on scaling up or scaling down that the RV business seems to have. So it's more manageable, I guess, to put it that way.
Go ahead, Rick.
Nope, I was going to shift topics, so it sounded like you had a follow-up.
So was I. You go ahead.
Well, we're talking to Jason tonight as the first presidential debate, and we're not going to ask you to talk about that. But this presidential election certainly is one of these quote unquote headwinds that we're all facing. Taking a step back, further back from the company itself and looking at the state of the market in general, how do you see the rest of this year playing out?
Well, I think as probably many of your other guests have said, I mean, the interest rate, debate and issue, and where we're at there is the one thing that needs to probably, I think it just needs to see a shift in momentum where it's headed. And we had rate increases seem for a couple of years pretty solid and steady there, and it stopped. And the minute it starts to turn down and we get a couple moves downward on rates, I think that starts giving people at least a little bit more confidence in where we're headed from that standpoint. And that, we've got a lot of finance, people that finance RVs that are buyers, probably larger than 80%. So, that's a big mover. But when it comes to, again, when it comes to RVs and how everything's affected, I mean, again, we're building 325,000 units this year. So it's a very, very small part of the population that are buying RVs, which is good and bad. In a down cycle, it's like, okay, it's not going to get impacted ever too greatly because there's only a small piece of the population that are buying RVs.
Go ahead. Well, so I just wanted to point out my cat, which is always my assistant. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so I would talk about the charitable side of your world, which is a big deal for Lippert Components. What's new over there?
Well, I think we launched our 100,000 hours campaign, community service, where we have, try to get all of our team members participating in at least one service event a year. We're rounding 1 million hours over the course of these last, 7-8 years that we launched the program. I think there's two cool things that have come out of that, and any kind of innovation like that. And I certainly think that this is an innovation in business. Like, there's not a lot of companies out there committing their team members' time and energy to serving the communities that they live and work in. But, what I would say has come out of this is that, I think last year we had 76% of our team members serve in at least one event, which I think is phenomenal. I know a lot of those team members had never served ever before in their lives in a community service event. So we're getting people to come out and serve. And I think the second thing is that there's a lot of companies that have watched what we're doing, either through social media or they're in the communities, because there's a lot of companies here besides us that have either mimicked some of the things that we're doing and created, more community service in their companies, or they've called us in a lot of cases and said, hey, how did you get that started? We want to do that. It's the right thing to do. How do we get it started? And we've walked alongside a lot of companies, and we actually have a leadership academy, with resources that are external facing to help companies through culture and leadership and community impact and service, journeys. I think that's been probably the biggest way we've had impact in the communities is, to show other companies how to do it. Our 14,000 people we get serving, that's great. But if we can teach, 100 other companies or 200 other companies, and they teach 100 or 200, and the ripple goes on. I think that has a bigger world impact than anything we can do on our own.
And Macaulay Grimes is the one who said it best. I think you're creating a force for good.
Yeah, I think that's how you do it. We can use our team members at work any way we want. We can build product and, have them clock in, build product and go home, or we can sprinkle some service and some other things in there. And I think that's what we've done. And any company out there that's interested in doing that, I'd say it's a lot easier to do if you dedicate, you mentioned Macaulay, we've got a, team of 4 people, her and 3 others that do nothing but, focus externally toward, the charities and organizations that are helping, people, that those 4 people do nothing but coordinate activities between our plants and those charitable organizations. And I think you need the resources in-house. You don't need 4, but, start with a half a person or somebody part-time that can help do that. So it's easier for your company to participate in.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but your spoons event that you do, with Genesis and others, toward fall is that?
That's probably you're talking about.
The
running with the spoons.
Running with the spoons. Yeah, I'm not sure when that is, but I know we're involved because we're involved with all the major fundraisers in town here, and there's certainly a good one. That's Basher, right?
Yeah. And one of my favorites, which is why I'm asking. Anyway, we should let him off the hook. We appreciate the heck out of your time.
Yep.
Jason. Did you have anything else, Rick?
Nope. Jason, just wanted to thank you once again. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure talking to you guys, and appreciate you, reaching out and making some time.
Very good.
Thank you.
Guys.